The story begins, and we see an old, creepy room wall. It is embellished with wooden furniture that is about to break. Occasionally, bugs would fly through from the outside of the ventilator. Inside this seemingly abandoned room, one man invited those insects with freedom. He squashes the mosquito with his hands and takes a good long stare at it. He kept quiet for a moment, and then he started eating the dead mosquito on his palm. He grits his teeth from the bitter taste of the insect. If he had the choice, he would not eat such a disgusting creature. However, this man doesn't have that luxury. He has spent his entire life inside this old and narrow basement. Despite the despairing and hopeless situation that he's in, his eyes are burning with hope and the desire to escape. To keep his sanity in check, he often writes his goals on a sheet of paper, claiming that one day when he escapes from this suffocating place, he will be able to use this self-introduction that he is writing right now. Normally, one would start their self-introduction with their name, but because he was never called by his name, he doesn't even know it. However, he is sure that he has a name, one that his mom gave him. Although our boy was separated from his mother shortly after his birth, he can tell from the picture of his mom holding him as a baby that the gentlewoman must have loved him. This thought is enough to put a smile on our boy's face. Unfortunately, that smile doesn't last long as someone who looks like a zombie from The Walking Dead creeps up to him and says that she's dead. Our boy was taken aback by the sudden appearance of the man who looked like my old high school teacher. He clarifies that he's talking about this poor kid's mother. The poor boy turns around, and with an anguished expression on his face, he asks the man what he means by that. The man reveals that his mother died shortly after giving birth to him, claiming that the woman jumped off a bridge. Despair enveloped his face even more, and as if to mock his agony even further, this creepy bastard started laughing. As it turns out, this despicable man is our boy's father, the husband of the gentlewoman in the picture. According to our hero, he is a deranged bastard who locked him inside this inhumane cage. The reason is plain and simple, and that is so that our boy wouldn't escape. The long corridor of the basement and the doors with locks, all the keys are within his father's grasp. With a smile on his face, he tells our boy not to worry, for he will never send him outside. He asks if our boy knows the reason why his mother took her own life by jumping off a bridge. In response, the kid just stared at him with an annoyed look on his face, indicating that he actually doesn't know. The father then grabs a cookie from the table and quickly places it in front of our hero, taking him aback. He then states that the kid's mother ended her life because she was afraid, scared to the very world she lived in, for she knew that this earth will be plunged into an inevitable apocalypse. To some dramatic effect on his explanation, he crushes the cookie, which he used to resemble Earth. He then stares straight at our boy's soul, and with his double chin hanging, he claims that it is the reason why he's not letting our boy go outside because he loves him. He cannot watch his own son follow his mother's footsteps and take his own life as well. Of course, his father's words are too extreme and unbelievable, so our boy shouts that he's lying. He tells the old man not to talk about his mother like that and states that locking him up because of the upcoming apocalypse is also a lie. The father did not even bother convincing the child to believe him. He states that he will leave that decision to our boy. However, he states that the self-introduction that he wrote will never see the light of day, then proceeds to grab and set it on fire. The kid tries to stop his father from burning his notebook, but he is too powerless to do so. All he can do is weep as he stares at the burnt notebook in the trash can, saying that someone like him doesn't have the right to be called a dad. In response, the crazy old man laughs, remarking that the kid shouldn't say something like that. He claims that he's doing all this for his son, and anyone can see that clearly. The father then ends the conversation and invites his son to follow him, saying that it's time. Every day at the same hour, at the same corridor that they always pass by, our boy follows his father. Of course, here there are no sounds of other life forms, there are only the two of them. In this vast and massive basement, only our boy and his dad are the only inhabitants. They always follow the same routine that starts even today. The old man gives the same lectures and the same training. In his boring and repetitive days, there's only one thing that allows him to overcome it. In the brief free time that's granted in the daily routine, the poor boy is able to take books from the basement library and read them. Although there are many books in the library, the ones he likes the most are the ones that describe the outside world. He always wondered how the sunlight written in those books would feel like. He wonders if it's much warmer compared to the underground lights. Through those books, a boy who is confined in solitude can see a glimpse of the outside world. Even though he hasn't experienced it, he wants to know what it feels like to have a peaceful daily life and see the beautiful scenery. He also wants to talk to people, and perhaps he can be friends with them. But most of all, there's one ultimate goal that he wants to do immediately after he escapes. Unfortunately, his daydreaming was cut short as his father kicked him right in the face for dozing off. The terrifying man grabs the book that our boy was holding and states that he can only read it in his free time. The man then notices that the book is about the surface. He immediately realizes that his son still has a lingering attachment to the outside world. We're looking down on our poor boy. He makes it clear that the kid can never go outside. He claims that when the apocalypse comes, the world will be filled with screaming and blood, and only ashes will remain in the end. He tries to instill in our boy's mind that displacement is the only way for him to survive. I'm going to the surface would just spell his demise. However, our boy had enough of hearing the same line again and again. He grew tired of hearing the apocalypse coming or whatever that his father was yapping about. Because of that absurd reason, his father locked him inside the basement for the entirety of his life and continued to torment him through physical abuse. He vows to himself that he will escape his prison no matter what. However, he's aware that now isn't the time yet. While glaring at his father, he thinks to himself that he needs to wait for the right moment. The moment when the old man drops his guard and becomes defenseless. Inside yet another empty yet well-lit room, we see our boy doing some push-ups. His father scolds him for getting tired too easily, saying that he won't be able to survive the apocalypse at this rate. He mocks his son for doing only 10 push-ups, but as it turns out, there are countless heavy plates placed on his back. Our boy's arms finally give up and he crashes onto the floor, the metal plates scattered everywhere, while the poor kid struggles to get back up. Unexpectedly, the old man extends his arm to our boy, seemingly offering him help. Our boy was taken aback by his father's sudden gesture, so he asked why is he showing him this kind of kindness. The old man just kept quiet, so our boy grabbed his hand. Then he pulls the kid towards him and trips him, stating that he never said that he was helping him. The poor kid rolls on the ground and crashes into the mirror on the wall, shattering it. He tells the kid that if someone reaches out their hand towards him, never trust them. He instills in our boy's mind that he should be wary of humans, especially in times of the apocalypse. That is the main reason why the old man has trained his son and taught him combat techniques. As the father takes his fighting stance, he states that when the kid inevitably encounters other humans, he must be strong enough to survive even just with his bare hands. The man was still talking when he noticed that our boy wasn't conscious to even listen to his lecture. He laments at how weak the kid is, stating that he got knocked out cold from something as simple as that. He then declares that the training session for a day is over, so he turns around and walks away. As it turns out, our boy is only waiting for that moment, the moment when his father will be careless and show his defenseless back. Our boy quickly gets up and grabs a shard of broken glass on the floor. In his mind, he thinks that this is the moment that he has been waiting for, the opportunity to launch a surprise attack on his father. Filled with bloodlust and desire for revenge, boy leaps into the air as he prepares to stab his father. After murdering him, he intends to grab the keys and escape from this wretched place. As he closes the distance, the kid smiles, thinking that he is surprised at that work. However, there was one mistake in this plan. The boy forgot the fact that his father is someone who never dropped his guard. The reflection of the light from the glass shard was enough to alert the old man. His head swiftly makes a 180 degrees turn, immediately facing our boy. The boy is horrified as he locked gaze with his father's maniacal eyes. However, he knows that it's too late to back down now, so he swings the glass shard towards the old man in hopes of stabbing him. Unfortunately, the old man is quick on his feet and he easily dodges the attack. He quickly repositions his body and delivers a devastating kick on our boy's face, knocking him out cold. When he comes to it, the boy finds himself waking up inside his cell. His father then enters the room complimenting him, saying that it was a good attempt. He walked over to a hero with the same creepy smile on his face. The father then reprimands his son, saying that if he will not attack with his bare hands, then all of his training will mean nothing. Therefore, we're breaking such a rule, he places a punishment for the kid, saying that he will have to train twice as much. Our boy shivered in fear as he heard those words. His current training regimen is brutal already, so he dreads the thought of working twice as hard. After mocking our boy, the old man lost the cell once again, telling the kid to get some rest for now because he will have a rough day tomorrow. As his father walked away from his room, our boy started looking around. He states that there is something that his father doesn't know. When he turns off the light, all the electricity in the room turns off for a moment and all the noises disappear. In that moment, when our boy focuses on his listening skills, he can hear things he could not hear before. Things from far away. The sound of wheels turning, of the birds chirping, and even the noise of a bustling city. From these noises, you found two truths. His father tells him that now is bedtime, but in reality, it's daytime above ground. The other truth is that the earth is actually peaceful, not the scary place that his father always described it to be. His father always says that the end is coming, but he knows that it's all a lie to keep him locked up underground. As soon as he escapes this suffocating prison, he will immediately search for his mother. His father would always tell him that his mom is dead, but now he has confirmed that his father only spouts lies. However, he can't help but think that there are hidden meanings in what the old man says. Even though his father always says that his mother has already passed away, our boy is convinced that she's still alive. He lies down in bed and prepares to sleep while feeling the desire to go search for his missing mom. On the other hand, the old man walks through the hallway while still laughing like a maniac. Then, a sudden phone call halts him. The caller is named River. Then we see the old man's terrified reaction as he stares at the phone. He answers the call. Irritated, he asks the caller for the call, reiterating that he should only be contacted in case of emergency. The person on the other line started talking, and the whole time, the dominant and lunatic old man kept quiet like a sheep. After some time, the old man speaks of only a few words, saying to let a certain someone live. Then his phone falls to the ground, and the father drops to his knees, visibly shaken. Contrary to his crazy and strict personality, the old man began sobbing and shivering as if he were lamenting about something. His sobs and cries then turned to laughter. It is as if he has completely lost his mind. The creepy noises that he makes reach the ears of our boy, waking him up from his slumber. The kid immediately knew that something felt off, prompting him to wonder what was going on. As he tries to move, he realizes that he has been tied up on a chair, immobile. He quickly shouts for his father to untie him, demanding to know what exactly is going on. Unfortunately, the old man is too far from reality and is preoccupied with his thoughts. Left with no choice, our boy squeezes every ounce of strength in his body in an attempt to break the rope. Our boy smiles, sensing that the rope is slowly ripping apart. However, the area cautious further noticed what he was doing and walked towards him. In a very traumatizing tone of voice, he tells her boy to stop, and out of fear, the boy freezes. The kid reminded his father about his punishment, saying that his training would be twice as difficult today. But the old man stated that the plans have changed. They might think that they won't be doing any training today. He makes it clear the people won't be just today. From now on, our boy will not be doing anything other than sit on that chair. The poor kid is horrified about hearing his words, so he tries to reason out that his father is preparing him for the apocalypse. But the old man is not backing down. He makes it clear that the training is now over. This made our boy even more confused, wondering what happened to his father all of a sudden. If this keeps up, he won't get a chance to pick up on this further and attack him from behind, eliminating his chances to find his mom. Our boy then started channeling all his strength, desperate to break free. With his efforts, the small boy was able to break some parts of the rope. His father then starts to laugh maniacally. Then all of a sudden, a powerful punch lands on our boy's face, sending him flying through the air. The deranged old man picked up the boy and placed him in an upright position, reiterating his words not to move. Another blow lands on our boy's stomach, causing him to fall onto the ground. The assault did not stop, and all our boy can do is endure it all. At that moment, our boy started to regret his actions, thinking that it would have been better if he just pretended to agree with his father's words. But in that moment, something strange came up to him, which is the feeling of not wanting to lose his abusive father. His resentment towards his father, the very person who locked him up and made him suffer every day, was growing stronger. And when all the ropes fell off his body, he felt an excitement he had never felt before. He became curious to know what his father, the one who always looked down on him, would look like if he pummeled him. The old man then charges at him for another attack. The first thing our boy saw was his balls-like chin, thinking that the facial expression he would see was that of anger. But to his surprise, what he saw in front of him with the tears that were always hiding. Behind the facade of crazy and abusive old man hides the eyes of a deeply sad parent. Due to shock, our boy wasn't able to respond to the attack and justice quietly received it. As his consciousness fades, the last thing he hears is his father saying that he hopes our boy understands. There are a few rules that our boy's father instilled in him in surviving the apocalypse. But the first one is the most important, which is to never leave the basement. He makes it clear that there is no safer place in the world than here. Of course, we don't know if this man with a pair of nuts as a chin is actually telling the truth or not. However, he states that there are thousands of defense mechanisms that can be maintained for over 126 years. There are also little food and resources that can sustain our boy for plenty of years. He states that trying to leave this place where everything is prepared, it's like taking his own life by jumping into a fire pit. In his words, he claims that the end finds them without any warning, so our boy must never leave this place. After those brief reminders from his father, our boy regained consciousness and his father is nowhere to be found. Naturally, our boys are puzzled because this has never happened before. The only time that his father would disappear is when he would lie down to sleep. Judging from his dad's strange reaction yesterday, the kid is sure that something is definitely going on. The change in the situation is drastic. From the repetitive lifestyle in the basement to the current situation that he couldn't understand, he instinctively knew that something huge was about to begin. And from all of his experiences, listening to his hunch is always a good idea. Suddenly, all the doors and gates inside the facility simultaneously opened. Our boy's eyes widened after seeing such an opportunity, just like your dog when you forgot to close the front door. He immediately knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so he dashes away as fast as he can. His dad would have stopped him quickly if he found out, but the fact that he got far enough proves that he isn't here. At the end of the long hallway, the kid finds a very long ladder leading to the outside world. As he climbs the ladder, he sees a few rays of bright light, so he prays that those lights be sunlight beyond the cover. He opened the lid of the manhole, and he was blinded by the bright light that welcomed him. Our boy slowly opened his eyes, praying to see a peaceful world he hadn't seen before. And sure enough, the kid finds himself in the middle of a busy and modern city. And contrary to his father's warning, there is no sign of any apocalypse. Our boy is shocked beyond belief. He actually escaped from the underground prison. The kid was blocking the road, so a bald driver went out of his car to confront and tell him to get out of the road. However, our boy's reaction confused the man. The kid was so happy to meet another human being aside from his father, and he was overjoyed to interact with the man. Saitama was horrified by the weird kid in front of him, wondering if the bum has a few screws loose in his head. Then, our boy remembers that this isn't the time to celebrate. It's too early for him to let his guard down, for his father will know that he has escaped and try to look for him. So the boy runs as far away as possible and as fast as he possibly can from the basement entrance. Even though he's using all of his energy as he runs, a big smile creeps up on his face. Knowing that his dream has come true, he is now free. Up until a few moments ago, he felt that escaping was impossible, and he never imagined that the doors would open for him that easily. Then it hits him. Why did the doors open just like that? Knowing his father, he wouldn't make such a careless mistake. He then dreads the idea that it might actually be one of his old man's sadistic schemes. However, our boy quickly dismissed the idea, since his father was the one who made the rule to not leave the basement. The boy started to look around the place, worried that his father might be close, but all he sees are people living life peacefully. Everyone is happy and is going on with their daily lives. Now he's convinced that all the talks about the apocalypse that his dad wouldn't shut up about are just lies. Seeing the happy faces of the people around, the little boy confirms that it is indeed peaceful outside the basement. With this kind of atmosphere, it would be crazy to think that there will be an apocalypse that's coming. Despite all the reassurance and evidence of the peaceful outside world, his father's words suddenly rung into his head, reminding him that the end finds them without any warning. Out of nowhere, the pigeons started flying away as if trying to flee from something. The people were confused about the unnatural event, causing them to stare at the weird phenomenon. All of a sudden, a huge ball of mass appears in the sky and blocks the sun, resembling a solar eclipse. The ordinary citizens stared at it with confusion, not thinking about anything bad happening. But our boy instantly became nervous as he watched the phenomenon unfold in his eyes, for it reminded him of his father's daily warnings. Suddenly, something began forming from the unknown mass, as if it was trying to connect to the earth. The thing came closer and closer, and that's when people below started worrying. They have no idea what exactly that thing is, but they instinctively know that it's not something good. Unlike them, our boy is seeing something different. Even from far away, he can see that the huge thing has terrifying monsters on it. No, the whole thing is a mass of clustered monsters that formed a vine-like structure and is stretching toward Earth. The thing then descends to the earth like a lightning bolt. It is then that our boy recalled the instruction of his father. The old man firmly states to never leave the basement. However, there is an exception to that number one rule. If the basement's location is exposed to the enemy, or a dangerous moment arrives, the first rule is no longer applied. Unfortunately, that very exception happened at that moment. The monsters have breached the basement because the kid forgot to close the lid when he escaped. Now, countless unknown entities are swarming the underground sewer. The situation above is not that much different from the basement, rather, it's even worse. A huge lump of clustered monsters falls from the sky, and the citizens are too stunned to move. In an instant, one individual was snatched by the unknown entities and was killed immediately. That served as a wake-up call for the people, proof that what they are seeing right now is real. Seeing the victim's head roll on the ground, fear enveloped everyone's hearts, and panic consumed the place. They started fleeing away from the monsters, running as fast as humanly possible. One unsuspecting boy who had his headphones worn didn't hear the commotion, and as a result, he was crushed by a flying boulder. The monsters started rampaging in the city, throwing huge boulders of rocks everywhere. Some creatures are too fast to outrun, and they hunt humans like they are rats. Chaos engulfed the whole city. Just a few moments ago, everyone was living their normal lives, and now the scene has quickly shifted to that of the end of the world. Now his father's words all made sense. The old man once told him that when the apocalypse comes, the world will be filled with blood and wails, and only heaps of ashes will remain. The city once filled with life and happiness has turned into a mass graveyard in just a matter of moments. Our boy is too shocked to move. He cannot believe that his abusive father was correct. To make things even worse, a gigantic entity arrives, trampling everything around it. Now the apocalypse that his father always talked about, the topic that our boy considered to be a lie, has begun. The old man wasn't kidding about his warnings. The current scene that has unfolded really depicts apocalypse. Our boy finally came to his senses and started to run away as well, but he tripped and fell on the ground. Even though it's hard for him to accept it, his dad was actually telling the truth. Then it hit him, if his double-chinned father wasn't lying, then could it be that his mother is actually dead? He grits his teeth pondering about such thoughts, while on the other hand, the people are too busy trying to save themselves. The monsters are relentless, murdering everyone they come across with, sparing not a single life. Suddenly, someone grabs our boy's hand and started pulling him away from the monsters. The person turned out to be his dad. Despite all the abuses and harsh trainings he put his son through back in the basement, it turns out that he really cares for his boy. The kid wanted to ask how his father found him, but the old man tells him shut up and just keep running. Our boy looked behind, only to see a poor boy lose his life at the hands of the monsters. Anywhere they turned to, there are monsters lurking, but their feet did not stop from moving. His father led the way, and our boy followed him diligently. Anywhere he looks, there is a poor soul that loses their life to the unknown creatures. The two ran towards the bridge, which at his moment is slowly rising up to cut off any path from the monsters. Our boy panics and informs his dad that the monsters are slowly catching up to them, but his father just tells him to not look back and keep running. Unfortunately, a monster grabs hold of our boy's leg, preventing him from moving. It then struck him, causing him agonizing pain. But our boy took it like a champ. He steels himself and tries to break free from the monster's clutches. Then his heroic father comes to the rescue. He uses a metal sheet to cut the monster's limbs, setting our boy free. Boy falls to the ground holding his injured leg. His father just looked at him, not saying a single word. Then the ground started shaking, indicating that the monsters are slowly approaching. Knowing that the danger is approaching, our boy forced himself to get back up. He knows that he has to hurry and run away. But the more he runs, the more he realizes that the distance between the monster and him is shrinking quickly. No matter how much he struggles, he can't seem to get away from them. Our boy once again trips on his feet and falls to the ground. At this point, he has lost all hopes of escaping. He then tells his father to just leave him behind, saying that he can't run in his current state. He tells his dad that he will be able to run away by himself just fine if he just abandons him. He then recalled all the times that his father ignored him, so he thinks that it will be the same this time. Surprisingly, the old man bent down and extended his arm, asking his son why is he not getting up. He then throws the question back to his father, questioning why his old man is not leaving him behind. His father then states that he has a plan, reassuring his kid that he will survive. Our boy was bewildered after hearing it, claiming that there's no way his father has a plan for this situation. However, the expression on his father's face indicate that he is serious. Our boy then recalled the sad expression on his dad's face, so he started believing in him. He then grabs the old man's arm, accepting his assistance. His father then pulls him back up, then instructs him to run. Our boy started moving his feet once again, sprinting as fast as he can. Then he turns around to ask his father what was his plan, but he notices a piece of paper on his hand. The old man tells him that there's no time. He instructs his child to keep moving and escape to the other side of the bridge. His father then stayed behind, while our boy gave everything he has to reach the other side of the bridge. Suddenly, he hears a loud crumbling noise, forcing him to turn around and check it out. He then sees the entire bridge collapse, cutting off the connection to the other side. Our boy was left stunned as he remembers that his father was still on the bridge. He cannot understand what just happened. Why did the bridge suddenly disappear? Then he remembered his father's words saying that he has a plan. He pondered if this is the plan that he was talking about, and was shocked by how absurd it is. Our boy began questioning his father's action, asking why did he go to such extent to protect him, when he tortured him all his life. Everything is too much for our boy to comprehend, so his knees gave out as a result. He has survived for now, but he is unsure of what to do next. At this point, it's not even sure anymore as for what is he even living for, his purpose for surviving. Everything that he had ever dreamed of when imagining the life above ground has disappeared. Everything has crumbled, the peaceful life, the beauty of the city, and his one and only goal of finding his mom. It all disappeared in an instant. And now, all of the questions he wanted to ask his father about will remain unanswered. He wants to know why he's willing to go this far, even sacrificing himself, just to save him. Our boy cries because he doesn't know anymore what to do. He's left alone in this harsh and hellish world. Then, the sensation of his father holding his hand strikes him, and he remembers the note that he left him. With tears in his eyes, he slowly opened his hand and seized the piece of paper. But before he could even read the content of the note, a monster appears on the ledge of the broken bridge. Our boy gathered all his strength to get back up, but his leg hurts so bad that it's so hard for him to even stand. The creature sprints towards him, leaving our boy no other options but to jump from the edge of the bridge. He and the monster fell to the cliff and roll on the ground. At this point, all the strength from his body has escaped him, and his stamina is at rock bottom. Our boy is slowly losing all hope of escape. There's no way he can flee from the giant monster. The kid is starting to accept his face, thinking that he'll probably die just like this. Right before completely giving up, he sees the content of the note that his dad gave him, informing him that his mother is still alive. This gave him the will and the power to get back up, for he now has a reason to survive. With tears streaming down his face, our boy has reclaimed his will to live. He vows that he won't give up and do whatever the heck he can to survive and find his mom. But reality isn't that kind. He still has to get through the monster in front of him. At the face of the terrifying creature, the kid concludes that such a thing is impossible. In front of certain demise, the old man's words came rushing through his head. His dad often tells him that humans will not be able to survive the apocalypse since they don't have the power or knowledge to survive independently. Even if they end up surviving through sheer luck, they won't be able to live that long if another danger appears. While our boy is pondering about such thoughts, the monster closes the distance between them and prepares to launch a devastating punch. The kid then shouts, asking his father if he should just give up and accept death. Then right before the attack connects, the spirit of his dad appears before him, reminding him about all the things he taught the kid. All the training and fights that the old man put his child through came flashing back in our boy's mind in a flash. Because of it, he was able to dodge the attack just in the nick of time. He then repositions himself in midair to create distance away from the monster. Even though he was able to avoid the fatal strike, the kid is still shaking from fear. His dad then once again reminded him that he's different from ordinary humans. The biggest difference between him and the others is that our boy was taught how to survive. With that in mind, he calmed himself down and shifted his focus to the metal spike on the ground. Our boy took his fighting stance as the monster charged towards him once more. Finding the perfect opportunity, he slides underneath the creature and grabs hold of the spike. Our boy leaps into the air and stabs the filthy monster in the head, murdering it. With the help of his father, the previously cowering boy used everything in his arsenal to survive the apocalypse. The aftermath of the monster's rampaging has left its mark. The once lively city is now in rubbles. No one is seen walking the streets, and most of the few survivors are seeking shelter in the wreckage. It has been 4 days since the extraterrestrial beings wreaked havoc, but there has been no response from the authorities. They thank their luck for being able to seek refuge from the monster's sights. But now they are running low on supplies and rations. They will need to go out soon. A yellow-haired woman speaks to her partner, but the latter isn't responding. Then a bystander tells her to cut it out, for she's making everyone uncomfortable. As it turns out, the man beside her is already dead, with half of his body missing. but the woman is still in denial and kept talking to him as if he's still alive. The bystander felt that it's no use persuading the woman, so he turns away to try and keep his sanity. As he walks by, a kid comes up to him and reports that she didn't find any food in the area. The man receives the news poorly. They have to find food somehow if they wish to stay in this place. The kid then states that there's one more place she hasn't checked, so she'll go ahead and see it out. The man appreciates her initiative, and a smile forms on his tired and exhausted face. He thanks the girl of her kindness, surprising the little lady. The man explains that everyone else is exhausted from guarding themselves against the monsters, so they don't have the energy nor the willingness to help. The young lady is the only one willing to help and make much effort, so he states that she's a great kid. Embarrassed, she states that she's not that great, rather, she's just an ordinary student. But the man's opinion won't change. He states that he's hoping everyone will be able to get through this crisis together. As the young lady roams around to look for some food, she comes across a couple sitting on the rubbles. She asks if they have seen any food in the area. The two stare at each other, then reveal a pack of sandwich, claiming that they have found it between some debris. The young lady was happy upon hearing this, thinking that she'll be able to share it with the ones who needs it most. But then the couple opened the sandwich and ate it by themselves, not leaving a single crumb to share. The innocent kid shouts at them, reprimanding the two for being selfish. She makes it clear that they have made an agreement that they will share whatever they find with everyone. However, the red-haired woman claims that they didn't accept such agreement, and it was just those boring people who came up with such rule. The kid then says that the two ate from the shared food portion yesterday, meaning that they have agreed on it as well, but the bald man pretended to be dumb, claiming that he has no recollection of such event. Pissed, the little girl threatened them that she will rat them out and report them to the others. The man then gets angry after hearing it, so he challenges the girl to go ahead and try it. In response, she claims that if there's one thing she's confident at, it would be her evasion skill, suggesting that they won't be able to catch her. The man has run out of patience for the little girl and decides to come at her. But before he could even close the distance, a distressed scream is heard from a distance. The three immediately quivered after hearing the scream, for they knew that it could only mean that the monsters have found their shelter. His companion convinces him that they should be safe because the scream is from far away. The man agrees with her, but he then notices the little girl cowering in fear in a ducked position. He laughs at the kid, asking where all her confidence in running went. The little girl comes back to her senses after getting provoked by the man, and as she raises her head up, she spots a packed bread on the floor. She sneakily took it and went back to the others. The man from earlier asks if she found something to eat, but she claims that she didn't. In the end, she wasn't able to combat her own stomach and did what the couple from before did. Well, the man didn't really expect anything since he knows that food is scarce at this point. He states that what's important is that they are safe and away from the monsters. Thanks to him triggering a death flag, a giant monster then busts into the building, taking out a few survivors from the impact. The little girl was also sent flying by some debris, and she struggled to get back on her feet. As she raises her head, she finds the kind man pinned by the monster. The man reaches his hand toward her, asking for help. The kid is horrified by the sudden turn of events. Her whole body started trembling as she stared at the poor man. Consumed by fear, the kind-hearted kid turns away and leaves the man for dead. The man screamed and shouted at the girl, asking why would she do such a thing as abandoning him. In response, the kid answers him, saying she has already told her that she isn't that great of a person. On the other hand, the bastard couple are also running away for their lives. As they reach the streets, they see the little girl running ahead of them and towards the direction of the monster. The red-haired woman tells her boyfriend that they will use the little girl in front as a bait for the monster. The terrifying creature takes notice of the yellow-haired kid and turns to her way to attack. However, it would seem that the girl wasn't lying when she said that she is quick on her feet. She was able to dodge all the nasty tentacles of the monster, successfully navigating his way past it. The couple were stunned by the little girl's athleticism. They planned to use her as bait, but now that she has escaped, the monster is sure to turn to the next. After demonstrating amazing dodging abilities, the little girl kept on running and never looked back, leaving the two behind with the monster. As expected, the bastards weren't fast enough to outrun the monster and were devoured on the spot. The kid finds a temporary safe spot, so she sits down to catch her breath. As she looked to her side, she was taken aback to see our boy sitting beside her. She then taps our boy's shoulder to try and interact with him. But as it turns out, the boy is unconscious, so he falls to the ground. exposing his head. Then from a distance, the little ones see a monster slowly approaching their spot, and with the boy's head exposed, the monster will surely discover them. The yellow-haired kid trembles for a moment, pondering if the monster heard her voice. She contemplates whether to help our boy or just run away to safety. But in the end, the goodness in her heart prevails and she pulls our unconscious boy towards her, hiding him from the monster. After a while, the monster finally leaves and the girl is now able to breathe a sigh of relief. As she looks down to check on our boy, she finds him staring at her in confusion. The two screamed from shock, and they quickly jumped away from each other. Our boy then became wary of the woman and started asking her what was she trying to do to him. The girl is confused as to why our boy is getting overly aggressive. As far as she knows, she just found him unconscious. However, the trust issue that the old man implanted in our hero is rooted deep in his heart. The old man always told him not to trust other humans and keep them away from himself. The girl tells our boy what happened, saying she found him unconscious, so she hid him from the monsters. Unfortunately, our boy is blinded by his distrust of humans, thinking that they want to murder him. Even though he was denying it before, he now believes that his father is right and he won't survive long if he gets close to other people. Our boy would have loved to press the girl for more questions, but his hunger kicks in and he once again collapses to the floor. As it turns out, our hero's last meal was 5 days ago, and naturally he is now reaching his limit. The kid struggles to get up, but he musters all his courage trying because he doesn't want to be stuck with other people. Suddenly, the young lady tells our boy that she has no food to offer out of nowhere. Confused, our boy stares at him and asks what she's talking about. He makes it clear that he is not asking the girl. Nervous, the young lady pulls out her hand from her pocket and waves, saying that she's just making sure. Unfortunately for her, she gets caught lying immediately as the bread falls from her pocket. Our boy notices the bread, but since he was only eating whatever his abusive father gave him before, he doesn't know what it is. Although he has no idea about what the thing that dropped on the floor actually is, he states that the more he looks at it, the hungrier he gets. He then asks the lady if it was food. The little girl immediately froze in fear and blatantly lies that it isn't. Lucky for her, our boy bought her lies and was easily convinced that it wasn't food. The young lady breathes a sigh of relief. It seems that the boy she just met is gullible enough, so things might go smoothly for her. But then, our boy remembers what his father always told him, which is that humans are liars. He claims that he won't be deceived by a stranger, and states that it is obvious that the girl is lying. Caught red-handed, the young girl agonizes about the situation because it's getting too complicated for her. Our boy stares at her intently. He badly needs it to survive, and surviving is his utmost priority. At this point, he's even considering of taking it by force. Suddenly, the girl shares half of the bread with him, taking our boy by surprise. She remarks that she split it exactly in half so she won't be giving more. Her attitude confused our boy so much. Because he had no previous human interaction except with his abusive father, he has no idea why would a liar like this human share her food with him. However, the girl tells him that he has to pay her 4 times the amount of what she shared with him in the future. Hearing that she has an ulterior motive for her good deed, our boy accepted the bread with no further questions asked. After eating his piece, our boy turns around to leave, so the girl queries where is he headed to. Our boy turns around and states that now he has eaten, he will take his leave. Curious, the young lady asks what is he planning on doing in this kind of situation. The city is run by monsters, and it doesn't seem like the boy knows the place. As such, the young lady informs him that she's actually from this neighborhood and has quite a knowledge about the place. She knows ways where the monsters won't track them. Hearing that, our boy suddenly stops, causing the girl to hump on his back. Our hero then turns around to confirm the information, to which the young lady says yes. As such, our boy wants to learn the way into the subway. Later, we see the two sneakily moving together to avoid getting detected by monsters. The girl regrets her decision to offer guidance to our boy. If she had known better, she wouldn't have shared her bread with him. However, she recalls our boy's reason why he wanted to go to the subway. According to him, it would be much safer underneath than on the surface because it'd be less likely for the monsters to see them. In the girl's mind, she thinks that our boy actually knows what he's doing, and her chances of survival are higher with him. However, she's still puzzled by the fact that the boy didn't recognize the bread earlier. They then arrived at the location, but they couldn't find the entrance of the subway. Being the naive little man that he is, our boy starts to get impatient and asks if she's just actually trying to deceive him. Triggered by his comment, The young lady shouts that she is currently looking for the way to enter the subway. Suddenly, a creepy old man sneaks up to her, telling her to be quiet. She was spooked for a moment but managed to control her voice so that it wouldn't attract attention from the monster. Wary about the old man, our boy glares at him and asks for his identity. The old man tells him to save the introduction for later and invites them to follow him. The three walked around for a little while until they finally arrived at the entrance of the subway station. Underneath the ground, there are several victims seeking refuge in the subway. Everyone who is present has despair in their eyes. They are tired and exhausted from the unexpected apocalypse. The old man then shares his terrifying experience when the monsters descended to the earth. He never thought that such a thing would actually happen in real life. At some point, he was actually about to give up, but fortunately, he followed several people and ended up going somewhere safe. Now that they are stuck in here, he would sometimes go back to the surface to look for supplies. But he is not that lucky today and was only able to find our hero and the girl. The boy looks around. He initially planned on building a base in the subway station, but he didn't expect that there would be more humans inside than expected. According to him, these are powerless humans trapped in despair. However, there are few amongst them who showed their wicked selves. There are also some individuals who our boy can't get a read on. As it turns out, our ever-cautious hero is observing everyone present, because the more humans there are, the more risk factors as well. However, after assessing everyone in the subway, he concludes that there is not a person in there who is a threat to him. All thanks to his father's ruthless training, our boy gained the ability to tell who is dangerous and who is not. For him, the monsters above are the very definition of danger and not these weak humans underneath. But there is one person whom he considers very dangerous, even though he's not a monster, and that would be his dad. Inside this subway, there's no one who gives off that kind of threatening feeling among them. As such, our boy thinks that he could rest her for a moment since none of them will be able to harm him even if they become his enemy. Suddenly, the doctor lets out a cough to catch our boy and his companion's attention. He states that it is time for introductions. He introduces himself as Juan Biam, a doctor from a certain hospital. He claims that he was searching for medication on the surface when he has stumbled upon the two, so that's who they got in their current situation. Now that his introduction is done, he looks at the two and waits for their turn. Since our boy isn't responding and is just staring like an idiot, the girl volunteers to go first. She reveals that her name is Haru, and with a nervous facial expression on her face, she tries her best to force a smile. The doctor actually recognizes Haru's uniform, saying that it is from a virtual middle school. Haru states that she's actually from that school, but she wonders if there's really a hospital near their school like the doctor claims to be. The old man then notices our boy's ragged clothes and beat-up body, commenting that he must have been through a lot. He then asks our boy for his name, and the kid just stared at him for a long while. The boy thinks about the notebook that he had written before. He planned it to be his introduction to other people once he gets out of the basement. But since his father burned it, he can't do it anymore. He then reveals that he doesn't have a name and he never had one. Both Haru and the doctor were surprised upon hearing this. Of course, as a normal human being, it would be weird to not have a name. However, the doctor took it as our boy just being secretive, so he didn't press the topic any further and commented that the boy could just tell him next time. Suddenly, a short-haired woman interrupts their conversation, seeking the doctor's attention. She brings them to her injured companion, saying that the man's condition is getting worse. They have temporarily stopped the blood from leaking out last time, but the injury seems to be worsening much faster than they have expected. The doctor states that if he doesn't get surgical treatment right now, his life will be in great danger because of the infection. He then reveals several medical tools and equipment in his robe, saying that they will have to perform the surgery now. While the old man performs the surgery, our boy is closely observing him. According to the books he read in the basement, doctors are people who treat humans in exchange for money. But if that were the case, it wouldn't make sense for the old man to perform this surgery since he won't be getting any payment because of the apocalypse. As such, our boy questions the old man, asking why is he helping the man if he won't receive anything in return. The doctor stared at him for a moment with genuine confusion in his eyes. He then went back to work and stated that he doesn't really need anything in return. Even the patient and the girl with him were shocked by the kind doctor's words. The old man continues to state that it is a doctor's job to treat those who are hurt, and he's simply doing his profession. After some time, the old man finished his preparation for the surgery, and he reassured him that he rarely failed surgery so he could relax. Moved by the doctor's generosity, The injured man mustered his strength to hug him, expressing his gratitude. Meanwhile, our boy is observing the scene in front of him with great confusion. He cannot understand human compassion, so he doesn't understand why others would help one another without any compensation. This leads him to contemplate if humans are just stupid creatures, or if they actually help each other in times of need. Then the injured guy sees the nameplate of the old man and finds out that he's not really a doctor, but a veterinarian. As such, the man feared for his life, knowing that the old man didn't specialize in treating humans. He tries to remove the restraints and is now backing out from the surgery. However, the crazy old man is committed to performing the treatment, so he tells the man to stop moving. The guy then asks if he can actually perform surgery on a human if he's not a real doctor. Juan reassures him that he can, saying that humans are technically animals as well. Not convinced by such words, the man struggles to break free, not wanting to gamble his chances. The vet then panics, knowing that the patient's condition will only get worse if he moves around too much, so he tries to find anesthetics. The short-haired girl comments that there's no way they would have something like that in the subway, but the old man says that he found some. He then grabs a concrete brick from the ground and whacks the noisy patient's head, knocking him out cold. Our boy was amused by the unexpected development. It only deepened his distrust of other people. Moments later, we see our boy sitting in a corner alone, enjoying some peace and quiet. He thinks that he made the right choice to get out of the room. There's no need for him to keep watch over the gruesome surgery. He then contemplates about his next move. His goal is to find his mother, but the only clue he has is the picture that his father gave him. It is a photo that was taken during his childhood, and at the back of it is the note saying that mom is alive. Our boy feels like he has reached a dead end. He doesn't have enough clues to know how to find his mother. However, whenever he looks at the photo, he feels a sense of unease, and that is because in the background of the photo, there are unnatural, alien-like flowers. Even when he was in the basement, he thought it was strange, so he looked into flower books to learn more. However, he couldn't find any information on the flowers in the picture. If that flower only grows in specific locations or environments, then he might be able to find out where the picture was taken. In order to do that, our boy decides that he needs to search for someone who can identify flowers for him. This photo is the only clue he has, so he intends to keep it safe and not lose it. While he ponders on his thoughts, a fly comes flying in front of him. Out of habit, our boy smashes it with his hands and eats it. Even though he has escaped the basement, his antics are still the same. In some other place on the subway, a woman informs her boss that she has gathered everyone. The man with a terrifying scar on his face then states that their plan will now begin. He orders his men to bring everyone to him, and if they refuse to do so, they are allowed to do whatever method they want to make sure the people obey. The people are confused as to why they are gathered in one place. Then one bystander acts tough and confronts the group, asking what the heck is going on. The boss then turns around and glares at him with a terrifying gaze. All of a sudden, the tough act that the man demonstrated earlier disappeared in an instant. He cowers as the boss slowly walks up to him. That's it for today's recap. Give us a like and subscribe for more videos. See you next time.